Imagine this. You're pulling into a parking lot, and before the car is even in park, your anxiety spikes. Why? Because you know the second your autistic son or daughter's feet hit the pavement, there's a chance that they'll bolt. So you repeat yourself for the 100th time, please stay beside me and don't run. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Parents often ask me, how do I know if this is whole body apraxia or if it's non-compliance or behavior? That's what we're going to talk about today. How do you tell the difference between a child who won't and a child who can't? By the end of this video, you'll understand how autism is diagnosed and why these methods can impact your understanding of your child. We'll talk about how sensory processing drives motor ability and why that impacts behavior. I'm going to give you practical coaching strategies that you can use right away at home, and then we're going to talk about why presuming competence in the body is the safest and most respectful mindset that you can have as a parent or professional. And stick with me until the very end, because I'm going to share with you the real secret to knowing if it's behavior or whole body apraxia. Hi, I'm Dr. Dana Johnson, an occupational therapist with over 20 years of experience working with autistic individuals and their families. I hold a PhD in child mental health and development, and I've seen firsthand how often my clients are misunderstood. They're labeled as non-compliant when the real issue is whole body apraxia. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping parents and professionals shift their perspective. So autism isn't diagnosed with a blood test or brain scan or specific biomarkers. It's diagnosed by observing behaviors, how a child acts, speaks, interacts with others, and moves. But here's the problem. These all require intentional motor skills. If your child has whole body apraxia, which is difficulty planning and executing movement, those behaviors or movements may look different. So what happens if your child can't consistently control their body, follow a direction, stop crying on demand, join in a game with another person? Well, children with autism, especially non-speaking autism and whole body apraxia, they risk being misunderstood and underestimated. Now, here's something we may not think about. Sensory input drives motor output. So our brains constantly take in information, the sounds, the sights, the textures and smells, and then directs the body to act. Now, autistic individuals often experience this input very differently. Some feel everything intensely. Others register very little and seek way more. Either way, the brain has to work harder to process, and that changes their motor responses. Now, think about yourself under stress. On a normal day, you can handle situations calmly. But if you're overwhelmed, you might snap at a coworker or your spouse without thinking. That's impulsive. That's coming from a part of the brain that's reactive, not the planning or intentional part of the brain. For your child, sensory input and added stress or anxiety plus whole body apraxia can trigger impulsive responses that they just can't control. To us, on the outside, it looks like behavior or non-compliance, but really it's their nervous systems reacting. Here's something that we may hear about but haven't necessarily put too much thought into, other than it tends to be common among those with autism. And that is that there are bad behaviors that need to be reduced. And a lot of autism therapies often focus on this as a foundation and the end goal, which is to reduce these unwanted behaviors. But what if those behaviors aren't intentional at all? What if it looks like refusal or defiance, but it's really the body being overwhelmed and unable to act any differently? Yes, sometimes your child may truly not want to do something, but that's typical kid behavior. But labeling everything as non-compliance ignores the role of motor planning and sensory stress, and we risk causing emotional harm for that individual. So here's what I want to propose. Because your child has whole body apraxia, is it possible that the behavior isn't what you think it is? Remember the parking lot example? Maybe it's not defiance or that they didn't hear you. It's actually trouble stopping their body or inhibiting the movement. The meltdown that sometimes might happen in the middle of the grocery store, it could be the inability to initiate movement because of the sensory overwhelm. So here's where things can get tricky and in some ways more complicated and even frustrating. That inconsistency, when your child, they can do something perfectly one day and then not the next, that's classic whole body apraxia, consistently inconsistent. But what I can promise you is that once you see it through an intentional motor lens, everything changes. So what do we do if it's behavior, and what do we do if it's whole body apraxia? Well, wait, how do we know? Because if your child is nonverbal or non-speaking and doesn't have a reliable way to communicate, we truly don't know which one it is. So either way, motor coaching can help get your child and you through some of these challenging times. Now, here are 3 core motor coaching strategies. Number 1, co-regulate to support your child's regulation. If you haven't seen my video on regulation and how to support your child, be sure to check it out because I talk about the best ways to support them to regulate in the most challenging moments. This has to be the first step because if neither of you are regulated, it will be a challenge to get to the next step. Number 2, break the tasks into smaller steps and use direct motor prompts to guide the body. Get your backpack sounds simple. It sounds like a one-step command, but it actually is complex and requires things like looking, getting their eyes on their backpack, initiating, walking, grasping, and carrying. Instead of only stating the goal, which is get your backpack, add the body coaching prompts. For example, get your eyes on the backpack, turn your body, bring your foot forward, reach your hand out, open your hand. These prompts help the brain send the right signals to the body for success. Number 3, build confidence with repetition and practice. Now remind yourself and your child. It's not about willingness. It's about the body. Let them know that you understand that this is hard and their body is stuck, but you're going to help them. Repetition makes movement more automatic and strengthens the intentional motor skills over time. Okay, so what's the real secret to knowing if it's behavior or whole body apraxia? Well, the truth is your mindset matters the most. It matters way more than the label. Whether your child won't or can't, the safest and most respectful approach is to presume competence in their body and coach the motor. Believe that it's their body that is failing them, not that they don't want to do it. Now, this isn't easy. So here are 3 ways to help shift your mindset. Focus on the motor and not the behavior. Delayed initiation, or they don't get off the couch as soon as you ask them, doesn't mean they don't want to do it and they're refusing. It means they have difficulty getting their body going. Second, see prompts as tools, not crutches. I have so many parents that come to me worried about prompt dependency, but we all use alarms and reminders. For whole body apraxia, they need more support to learn the movement first, before the prompts are reduced. Adjust your expectations and stay patient. Now, this is probably the hardest thing to do, but think about it like learning any new skill. For example, knitting or golf. Progress takes time, practice, and patience. When you stop battling defiance and start coaching the body, you will see changes, not just in your child, but in yourself as a parent or professional. If this video helps shift your perspective, please hit like, subscribe, and share it with another parent or a professional who needs to hear this. And please comment. Let me know what's worked for your child. Has motor coaching worked? Has something else worked? Together, we can change the way the world understands autism and whole body apraxia. Thank you, and I will see you on the next video.